What's up, everybody? Will Beach back here, and we're doing some after hours recap like we have done yesterday, and then I had made a video on Saturday regarding where we're heading into this week. So if you guys watched my Saturday video, you saw that I predicted that we would continue down. Monday was a huge down day, and today I said we're most likely just going to see flat consolidation. Not too much movement either direction. Be very cautious if you're a day trader. This would be a very cautious type because you're going to get a lot of fake outs as soon as it goes down and looks like it's going to continue down. It's going to bounce back up, and as soon as it goes up and looks like it wants to go up, it's going to come back down. So hopefully you guys played safe. Um, who I am and what I do. So I've been reading charts now for about 6 years, and I've kind of put stuff on my channel, but not as much. But I want to make sure I get you guys the most latest and updated analysis that I can give you guys, and hopefully it helps you out. So if we go into, so right now I'm looking at Euro USD. We have the NASDAQ is typically the indice that I am going to reference the most. So you're usually going to see me run NASDAQ, Dow, NASDAQ, S&P. They're all pretty much running similarly. So, the chances are is that I can call one and they're all going to do the same. And then, of course, you won't see me do as much individual stocks I have in the past, and I still can. If you got something that is moving outside of the norm and you want an opinion or analysis, leave a comment below, like and subscribe, and I got your back. So from here, we're still in this consolidation phase. I'm actually looking at Euro USD. It finally has one crossover on the MACD. And with that being said, this is typically just the start of consolidation. You still got to be very, very cautious in this phase because our ADX is still in the momentum state. Therefore, we're still in the downward trend. We haven't fully corrected yet. So we're going to see some consolidation. There's still a lot of downward movement. So this is still a very cautious state when you're trading, right? You're going to use the smaller time frames to give you a little bit of an analysis, but this is more or less like don't get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, or else you could be on the wrong side of another big move, right? So this might, continue upward. You might see retests of, some of these levels right here, right? And you might think, oh man, we're going long. And then boom, rejection and fallout. Part of my prediction yesterday in a typical pattern I see is when we come down off of momentum, we get this kind of this double tap on the 50 here, and then we get this test of the lows, which was here. Typically, it'll even run down a little bit and pop back up. This time, it just kind of double tapped it, and then you get this consolidation phase. So we're kind of watching that, but you can see the signals are still flashing red. We're still red on stochastic. We're still red on momentum. We are green on MACD, and we have lost momentum to the downside. But because we have not shown any other direction, we're assuming the downside, right, still owns control of this. So that's what we're watching for. Now, leading into Wednesday, there's always Powell, who has his meeting at a roughly 2 p.m. unless they move it. So I would recommend being out of any positions around 1 p.m. and not risking anything in the volatility realm. Start snapping you out probably around 1 p.m. So be cautious of that. So if we're looking at the NASDAQ as a whole, Euro USD, the reason why I was on that is because it typically follows our markets. Not sure why, but it does. And you see that the NASDAQ is literally following a very similar pattern here with a test right here, right toward the end of the day. a test of lows into consolidation as we retrace toward the top of the Bollinger 50 mark here, right? So we're going to be aware of that. Let's check 4 hour. 4 hour, as you can see, still technically all very much in the downside positions with momentum still favoring the downside. So anything that goes long should be taken with a grain of salt, and just if you profit long, just do not stay in those positions because we're still favoring the downside, right? Um, in this case, you can, in theory, wait for any long position to start adding to a short, but that's not necessarily something I would do because you get snapped out really quickly, especially if you're doing futures. As we lead into the daily chart here, you see we're bottomed out, right? We're kind of resting on this Bollinger. So on the daily chart, we technically aren't in full momentum. So that's the only kind of safeguard that says we don't necessarily have to keep pushing down. It's still likely to push down, but we don't have to push down. So this is, again, 2 days here. We'll see where this one ends up. Um, Leading into Wednesday, again, it's a very cautionary day. This is not something that gives you a clear cut signal, which means you could pop long here and get snapped out of shorts. You can go short and then get snapped back up from here. Um, this is a mixed bag, right? And the reason why is because you have some signals crossing over for consolidation, some signals still owning the downside, like your momentum ADXR still confirms downside. That means your longs should be with a grain of salt. And you can see this, we went from this low and we snapped back out of it, right? And it looks like this is a 1 minute chart, right? And it looks nice and long, right? But if we go here, it's still in a very downside position. Now, one thing that's good is this Bollinger Band, the longer it consolidates here, this Bollinger Band starts cupping over, right? It starts tightening up, and that could help it prevent it from falling so fast. But my concern is this ADX is not even close to each other, right? The gap still has to fill. So we're sitting here with all this space, meaning that is plenty of space for continued downside. So this is, again, very cautionary. And I just personally, these would be the types of days that I might only look for a very short term 1 minute play, right? Looking at like maybe a 15-minute chart or a 30-minute chart, grabbing a 1 minute, going, okay, I'm long on the 30-minute on MACD, long on momentum, long on stochastic. I don't have momentum though, right? So anyone who's new, ADXR is a momentum indicator, and the actual momentum indicator is a momentum indicator. So when I use momentum on the top, I'm referencing the ADXR. So there's no ADXR momentum, but MACD is green, but still below zero, right? We're green, but we're still below zero. So it's still kind of that's a negative long, if you will. It's not a confirmed, long position. So we are long, we're long, we're long, but we have no momentum. So that means this is consolidation until otherwise. And consolidation means we're bumping Bollinger Bands top and bottom and top and bottom, right? Until it can break out of it one way or the other. So one way to know which way you're going to go is simply draw your consolidation lines. So this would be the absolute top that it hit in the day, right? And we have our app, I don't use wicks as my bottom. I use the most flat bottoms is where I draw my line, right? It's a little bit safer that way. So I don't go to wicks. I go to where did the closes and opens touch the most as my support and resistance lines. And you can basically just sit here and watch this. And then by the time you get your momentum, you can see, are you breaking out or at the top? Are you breaking out at the bottom? And then you got to move, right? So a lot of the times I'll talk about scale really quickly. You will have momentum in 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, and not in 30 minute, hour, 4 hour, right? Because obviously the smaller 1 minute can run into momentum hard without it affecting the other ones, right? So if you look now, you can see 1 minute has been in momentum up, but that has nothing to do with the overall chart, which is why you have to be careful, because a 1 minute momentum move is a good move, but you shouldn't just, hang in there for hours and hours and hours. You should catch your move and get out because of the trend still being down. So again, leading into tomorrow, we are watching, right? We've entered consolidation phase and we're bouncing around. So your moves are going to be short-lived, if any, and you may just want to sit out until you have a confirmed move. And honestly, if you waited till 2 p.m., you would wait and see what the news says. And by Thursday morning opening, you're probably going to have a better position than trying to figure out up or down during consolidation. That's where a lot of people lose. You lose in consolidation because you're guessing. We're trying to take guesswork out and wait for an actual move, right? So, um, with that being said, a lot of people in Forex like to watch GJ. So I'll just go over this one really quickly. We have this upward, right, divergence happening. That means that on the MACD, you can see that we're getting tighter as we're getting lower. We're getting tighter towards the zero line as we're getting lower. So I'd be looking for this consolidation, right, to enter and then get some kind of correction. Um, and I would correct, back into this range. I usually use moving average crossovers. I'll talk about this probably in another video, but I use moving average crossovers as a resistance level for corrections once it's confirmed that it wants to correct, right? So once we would essentially be moving above what I call into the dead zone, so above the 50, below the 150, and then once we get up here above the 150, and then I would be looking for that retest. As of right now on the daily, we're in a consolidation move. How do I know it's consolidation on the daily? Because everything is congruent, right? They're all moving together. All the indicators are moving at the same direction at the same time. That's a consolidation move, which means in theory it's a move into a continuation unless it otherwise flips, which is why you go and you watch these smaller time frames, right? Because if this builds back up, then we know we're going to have that move back long, and that consolidation on the daily is going to round off and try and come back up to these highs. If it fails, right? If it fails, then we come back down and we're looking at a 150 test, bottom Bollinger 150 test, which is down here. If I had to guess, this is not looking good for it to round back up simply because this is getting so low to the short side. So we're so low on the stochastic that this is a little bit too much, um, too close to just falling out rather than showing that it's got support and wanting to go long again. So to me, I'm going to go here and I'm going to draw out my lines, tops and bottoms like this. And then I'm going to wait for the move, right? I'm going to see where momentum is starting to gain in favor of above this or below this. Why do I just choose these so easily and not something like this big one? Is because I use the most recent consolidation move, top and bottom. So as we cross over this range here, this is the most recent bottom, this is the most recent top. So I'm just going to go ahead and use these and go from there, right? If it starts going up towards this resistance, but does not have momentum, then I might remove this one and then go, okay, this is more of the range because no momentum had been gained to get to this point. And if momentum starts gaining above this blue line, then I know that, right? Then we're moving up from there. or below this one, then we know we're moving down from there. But you basically need to wait for all the signs of your ADXR to move. We consider momentum when ADXR is above 25, and that looks something like this, right? So you see how we're tight against the 50, 150, 20. We're breaking this support and we're gaining this momentum. And you can see it just kind of comes down, consolidates down, because that becomes the trend. That's what momentum is all about. Momentum uh, is a strong move. It's not sniping, right? Everyone who basically day trades are mostly snipers, but this is not that. I wait for momentum moves to give me the confidence that even if it goes a little bit against me, that I'm choosing the right direction, right? If it goes a little bit against me, it's a little bit scary. But when you know that you've bought into a momentum move, you know that it's going to go back into your favor. You just might have the timing off a little bit, but you know that you've picked the right trend. And that's the big one. All right, guys, that's my analysis for tonight. More consolidation. Be careful with your moves. Get in, get out, whatever you choose, longs or shorts, because in consolidation, obviously, you're kind of bouncing around between moves. Confirm your time frame with one above it. So if you're playing a 1 minute, use at least 5 or 15 minute to confirm your move. If you're playing a 5 or 15, make sure you use a 30 minute or an hour. If you're using an hour, confirm on a 4 hour or a daily. That says that you're choosing the right move. With that being said, guys, hope you have a great night, and we'll follow up again tomorrow. Thanks. See ya.